Thanks everyone for joining in. So we will begin. I guess there are a couple of more attendees joining in. So yes, I guess we are good to go. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining for today's webinar. I am Ansh Agrawal and I am Assistant Manager Marketing at Ameyo. Ameyo is one of the leading customer experience solution providers in India. So today we are presenting gain competitive advantage by relying on omnichannel customer experience strategy. And I have with me Dhanarajan K, Head of CX at Tata Click, and Rahul Duchi, Director Marketing at Ameyo. So just to lay down some ground rules, if you have any questions during the presentation, so please type them in the chat box. And we would like to answer these questions during the webinar, and if time permits, we can also have a Q&A session. So this webinar, we wanted to be more of a interactive session, and feel free to have any questions. So yeah, so coming back to the webinar topic, so we thought that why not do something on omnichannel customer experience strategy. So last webinar when we did on AI customer experience, so we got a feedback that we should do something on omnichannel customer experience strategy as well. So that's why we have done this webinar. So as of I was going through a report on KPMG, and according to them, the 88% of CEOs globally are now concerned about customer loyalty. So, and out of those, 79% of CEOs see that as of now, their business models are not disruptive enough. So you can imagine how it's going. So, so this is a quote from David Becker. So he is the CEO at Cordial. Cordial is a company that's based out in San Francisco, and they are basically into customer experience strategy. So according to him, if omnichannel view is something that we should focus on, so then only the customer experience will work. Okay. Yeah, so I would like to move on to the agenda, and I'd like to introduce the speakers. So this is the brief agenda that we will be going through about the state of customer experience and customer expectations. Then why omnichannel CX matters for Phygital. Then we'll talk about the 3 pillars of CX. And then Rajan will probably talk about how they're redefining the omnichannel CX at Tata Click. And then if time permits, we'll have a Q&A session. So Dhanarajan has been he's a CX leader at Tata Click with over 17 years of experience in having expertise in CEM, CRM, greenfield setup and risk management across retail, telecom, and financial services. He has been instrumental in setting up the Phygital omnichannel strategy at Tata Click, and is someone who is currently redefining the contours of CX at Tata Click. Rahul has been the director of marketing for the past 4 years now, and is a go-to marketing strategist for Ameyo. He has deep expertise in the CCI, omnichannel customer experience, and customer service operations, and we call him as our customer journey evangelist. So over to you, Rahul.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ansh, for this wonderful introduction. And welcome, everybody. Good afternoon to everybody who have joined in, taken time from their busy schedules. And good morning to everybody who has joined from Middle East and Africa, our guests. So let's get started. The idea of having this is to get both user and the vendor side perspective of what goes in to build a right omni-channel strategy, which would help organizations who have started this journey to get a better customer experience. Ansh, can you move to the next slide? Okay, awesome. Now, here are some figures for you to absorb. The importance of customer experience can be easily determined by the whole lot of things that are going around. There are few figures for you to absorb. There have been enough researches that have been done which correlate customer experience to the revenues, to the business results. And as Ansh rightly pointed out, that there have been researches done by KPMGs and PwCs of the world in this particular space, which have already emphasized the importance that CEOs have put to customer experience. However, there are two of my favorite stats which I always go ahead and share with everybody is one, if you actually go and plot the phrase customer experience in Google and see how its searches have increased dramatically over the past 5 years. I think it has become 3x and 4x, and it's a public data for you to absorb. You can easily check it on Google. The number of searches have increased drastically, which in turn reflects people writing about it, researching about it, people who are worried about it. Second important stat is over the last 5 years, and Dharmarajan, when he speaks, he would definitely substantiate it. Over the last 5 years, there have been significant increase in the roles who are directly responsible for customer experience, and they have a seat at the management table now. If you actually check now, the designations with CX or customer experience worldwide over LinkedIn, and again, this is a public data, you would see that the number of people who are working specifically on the customer experience has significantly increased. Now, customer experience is actually amalgamation of multiple terms or multiple things that go around. And then can we move to the next slide? Now, I personally put customer experience, so as to say, into 3 different categories. One is the product or the service with which the organization is delivering, the value it is delivering to the customer. Second is the brand, which is basically the promise that it is making to the customer. And third is the service piece, which basically means that once the customer is using the product or the service and he gets into some trouble, how does he gets himself out of a trouble, and how does he or she gets his queries resolved. Now, there are 3 important things that are changing dynamically to manage the customer experience. One is the advent of new channels, and over the past let's say 5 to 10 years now, the only thing which has stayed is voice, which had been there for good 20-25 years now. But with the channels like chat, with the channels like email, SMS, with the channels like social media these days, a lot of people are already investing in artificial intelligence. We had a webinar on it about 3 weeks back. The channels like chatbot, the channels like virtual assistants, they are basically complicating the customer journey to an extent where customer journey from the customer service perspective, to an extent where the context of the journey or the context of the customer service, why your customer approached you, is particularly lost. A typical example, and a lot of organizations, I'm actually surprised to see the lot of organizations who have not solved this, where a customer drops an email and comes back to you over a call saying, I just dropped an email, and the customer service rep is not aware about it. And we're talking about multiple channels like social media, SMS, voice, chat, virtual assistants, and so on and so forth. Now, when the customer is hopping these channels, there is a context to it, and context can be in a way which is a customer can email you with two different contexts. So as to say, for example, in a banking scenario, he may call you to avail your let's say a home loan, and he might also talk about getting his queries resolved from the savings bank point of view. Now, these are two different contexts over the same interaction, and there are multiple interactions. For example, an example which I just mentioned was an email and a call from a same context. Now, the context has to be captured irrespective of the channel from which the customer comes in, and that is where the technology can help you. Now, each of these contexts has to be enriched with personalized customer service, which is time bound, which would help you create. And we have been evangelizing this concept of CX memories, which helps customers to take something back as a memory and retain it. Now, there are two different things. There's a voice channel. There are a lot of digital channels which are coming in where customers are hopping in to interact with the enterprises. And then there is a physical side of it, which is your stores, your customer service reps, where a lot of value or a lot of commitment goes into the emotion side of it. So I will now invite my co-panelist Dharmarajan, who has significant experience in multiple industries and now with Tata Click, to take us through his idea of customer experience and customer service and his experiences in Tata Click. Dharmarajan, over to you.
Hey, thanks, Rahul. Thanks, Ansh, for a wonderful introduction, and thanks, Rahul, specifically for setting the context in which we are having this conversation. Thank you for all the introduction, and good afternoon and good morning to all our friends across the globe who have joined us here. Before sort of delving a little deeper on omnichannel experience per se, let's just take a step back and talk a little bit about what Tata Click is currently trying to solve with this whole theme on omnichannel itself. It's just not about service, it is about the entire end-to-end buying experience through omnichannel, which is what we believe in, and based on which we have built the pillars of how do you provide service in the context of selling, in the context of interacting, browsing, surfing, every single touch point the customer would have or think of when a product is purchased through an online mode or an offline mode. So just to give you a brief proposition, what we offer to consumer as an omnichannel one is what we strongly feel, and this work has been on for about 3.5, 4 years, is consumer don't choose channels. Consumer want to buy products. That's our want to buy products, want to interact with the brand, etc. But they don't choose channel. This choice of channel was forced upon them over a period of time, and that's how the whole industry, whether it is commerce industry or service industry, had been. The shift that we are seeing in the last 5 years is brand were forcing customer to come to a channel to buy a product. Now it is in the reverse fashion. The brands are being present in the channel where customers are. And in this journey, what we at Tata Click are trying to do, how we bridge both of them seamlessly. Just to give an example, if a customer walks into a store, he sees a few products, he likes some, he doesn't like some, and he has a few questions about the product. And he comes back home and now he starts surfing on the app. And if I can start that journey with all the browsing that he had done in the offline store and have that complete context available and be able to assist him in completing that purchase is what we at Tata Click core we believe in. And that's what is the problem that is solving. Easier said than done. It's just the first initial stages. And this is the journey that we're taking. And we feel the future of retailing is this path, where there will not be any sort of thin line between what is offline, what is online, etc. Consumer prefer brands, consumer prefer products. They want to buy products seamlessly, which means they want to know about whatever products that they want to sort of get involved with. They would want to know it about them through online medium, offline, social, digital, etc. And how we are assisting in doing this is by targeting a certain set of segment, a certain segment of consumers who strongly are oriented towards seamless buying experience. So just to give an example, how it helps us. Today, the growth of e-commerce in the country is predominantly with, especially in apparel or lifestyle businesses. The current season products is what is available in the retail offline store, and season -1, season -2, and older stocks is what is available online, which means the online guy buy products in bulk, store it in their warehouse, and then give it to customers at a very degree of discount. And if you want to buy the latest fashion, you have to visit the store if you are a brand conscious consumer. What we at Tata Click strongly believe that this consumer is not different. The same consumer at some point in time wants to buy product which is latest in fashion and also would like to have certain discounted merchandise which they feel still has the value, and they try and choose. And we at Tata Click, what we're trying to do is provide the opportunity for consumer to see what is available as latest fashion in the stores across the country, and then bringing in basic back-end elements of Omnichannel to provide what is closest to consumer, provide faster delivery directly from store, browsing through stores, and then store offers available. This is one big difference. Predominantly, the retailing till about 3 to 4 months back, the offline and online used to have a very, very different way of dealing. Even if suppose the same product, you would enter a UCP showroom in any of the malls or outlets, you will have a different offer running there. When you go online, it's an entirely different offer that is running. Customers are completely confused. What exactly are we talking about? Are these the same brand that I'm trying to buy? What I see online is not available online, offline, etc. So all these were the problem statements. And what we at Tata Click are trying to solve for is providing largest range to customers. First time, new lines will be introduced to them. Exclusive product merchandise being available for them. All of this with fastest possible delivery. How we do is it's a sort of fulfillment through hyperlocal model. We try and fulfill consumer orders to the nearest store, and so that the time to delivery to the consumer is reduced because of this entire omnichannel way of servicing. And also it ensures that what is available on store, whether it is offer or anything that is particularly there on store, is known to consumer as well. And how it sort of helps the brands with whom we deal with this, it obviously enhances brand sales. This is a huge difference from how traditionally e-commerce were working, which is on enhancing the footfall for the brand. We don't want customer to move away from offline shopping. We want to make it seamless. So which means we bring in footfall to the brand stores itself, which is one of the biggest challenge that they have. Then on pricing control, which is one of the challenges the brand has. They have minimum pricing control with the current way the e-commerce is progressing, which we provide. Then there's a lot of business relevance, which is about analytics that we provide. In the offline world, analytics was highly dependent on offline survey-based information capture. With the latest tools deployed in the stores and a lot of e-commerce browsing information, we bring it together and provide an analytical package to the brands which they had never seen, which can help them in deciding where to open stores, what type of merchandise you keep in what type of locality, which sizes go in which locality, etc. These are like phenomenally enriching value adds that offline store never had. This we are bringing in through our omnichannel strategy. And for Tata Unistore, which is Tata Click, there are multiple sort of advantages. This gives us premium plus consumers, phenomenally high quality service. We provide wide range of consumer, and it gives us at a very optimized cost because we deliver the products from the nearest location to consumers. Yeah, that's about. Anish, can we move on to the next slide? And yeah. So this is like what it essentially means is it's a convenience through fulfillment, through engagement, and providing interconnectivity, which means we are trying to sort of blur this whole offline online, and we have come up with a new term called Phygital. It is becoming more and more sort of renowned and famous, and we have now started standing for it. And this ethos of Phygital is what we are trying to put in across all functions, starting with our whole business strategies on Omni, and that we are replicating in our service model as well, where we feel that when the consumer sort of interacts with you, he is agnostic of channel, but he wants that context to be passed on from every individual to individual, even from machine to individual, which Rahul just touched upon. You know, your AI, chatbot, virtual assistant. If a customer is interacting, the expectation from the customer is once he now interact with a human, that human understands whatever interaction already happened with the bots or with any of those machines that has happened. So this is what, as an ethos, we are trying to bridge the two. What is happening as a business strategy and trying to build it as a part of customer service. As we go along the presentation, I'll take you a little bit in detail. Here, I've just touched upon different aspects of technology we are trying to use to bring this together, which is about 360-degree view of consumers. We are actually truly believe that now we have started the journey towards having a 360-degree view. You know, just to give you an example, I don't know how many of us would have experienced this. We still talk about various channels of customer interacting. Customer can come through Facebook, WhatsApp, offline messages, emails, calling, SMS, etc. Now we of late realize our brand consumers go and talk about our brands on competition brands review pages. Now this is like a new channel that we didn't think that it will become so big. Say for example, some customer has bought a product from Amazon and has written something about the product review and a little bit of the service side, which the customer was not very happy with Amazon. Another consumer saying, I had a similar problem with other brand also. Now this becomes, hello? Yeah, this sort of becomes another channel through which consumer can start interacting with you. This is like the complete shift. So which means this whole shift towards Omni is an ongoing one, and it is we have to replicate where all consumers are present, and it's just going to expand with the speed at which social media and digital enhancement is happening. There is no end to it, and there will be new and more additions that will continue to happen through which customer will interact with us. And for that, we as brands need to embrace where as and when required different technology, which will help us in merging all of this together. And also this means a lot of changes at various places in the way we sort of design our training programs, or how we write our processes. All of this will completely go a sea change along with the technology itself. Ansh, can we sort of move on? Yeah. So here, so it's just touching upon based on various studies which even Rahul mentioned on your KPMGs and Gartners of the world, where they see customer service of future. This is like what it says is about in the next 3 to 4 years, 85% of all consumer interaction with the brand, which is base data of 2015, will happen through a bot or a virtual assistant or an intelligent system, wherein the human intervention will go away. And this human intervention will go away with advent of various technologies, but this is a big shift. Now, this shift also means the centralization of information becomes very critical, and the quality of manpower through whom you service these consumers will see a complete shift. Today, most of the problem solved at the service layer is mundane, low complexity. Now it will move into 100% high complexity issue resolution and low complexity and straightforward ones. One tip and you will get the answers for problems will get solved by various channels. Second big change, which I think is it's a huge shift. The consumers will interact with brand predominantly through mobile. So mobile will be the only device through which they will interact. So earlier you had a laptop or a desktop, then you had a telephone line, or then you had a fax machine or writing. All of this is going away. So whether the customer is going to write a review or use Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp or use your app, predominantly consumer will reach out to you through your mobile phone, which means all the brand would require to go through in depth the customer journey on the mobile phone, and our ability to do everything mobile first is very important, which a lot of us I still think are still grappling with. We still have web enabled and website as the first way of solving problem. When you're when you think of self-service tool for most of the brand is not optimized for mobile phone, which means how the drop down appears, whether you use text or you use emoticons or images to depict what action to be taken, single buttons to solve problems, etc. Should be the size, what should be the font. We need to go far more deeper, and that's the direction the industry will take. And the third one, which is little interesting as well, lot of big, very strong brands have solved this problem is of crowd service, and this is a big shift that will happen on most of the servicing side. And industry experts feel this could be to the tune of about 40% of a total interaction solved by other customers who will pitch in. But this depends on what is the quality of service that you provide to those customers who will be your brand ambassadors in answering other customers' queries, which also sort of goes back and understanding the importance of customer experience. You're now creating ambassadors who are going to solve your problem without any cost, and they'll feel proud about it. It's a great thing to have. But that is a direction. A few brands like Apple and all have really solved this. They have created communities, and these communities will become larger and larger, and they sort of answer most of our queries. And this would require different type of tools to be put in place for them to get their understanding better, etc. How do you engage with consumers like them who are going to solve other customers' problem, which is one of the challenges that we'll face in next 3 to 4 years. Yeah, having said this, so we can sort of go a little deeper. I'll hand it over to Rahul to take us through the journey which we need to solve for. Over to you, Rahul.
Yeah, Rahul, Dharam, so we have a few questions. So we'd like to take questions.
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
So we have a question from Javeria, who says that is Phygital only relevant to e-commerce, or is it for other sectors as well? Dharma?
Yeah, Dharmarajan, are you able to hear us? Yeah, are you able to hear us?
Dharma, are you able to hear us?
It seems.
So I think there are a few questions for me. Yeah.
Yes.
Love to answer them.
Yes.
Ansh, can I have the questions, please?
Yes. So Dharma, I was asking like Juveria has asked me. So is Phygital concept, omnichannel concept, only relevant for the e-commerce, or is it relevant for the other sectors as well? So like retail or telecom.
I think Dharmarajan is not able to hear us. Ansh, let's move forward, and why don't you type your question, and I'll move it over to Dharam as and when he's able to see the question. Let's go ahead.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
let's go ahead. Thanks for the question. We would make sure that this gets answered as soon as Dharam gets hang of it. So. So thanks, Dharam. I think you put it wonderfully. The things that you mentioned about convergence of physical experience and digital experience, so as to say, is really important. And I could take some cues which included mobile first crowd service, so as to say, and of course. You also mentioned the likes of what the likes of Gartners and KPMGs have been saying. So what we believe here at Ameyo is there are three important pillars to transform the customer experience from omni-channel standpoint, and three pillars, so as to say, are know thy customer. You have to understand your customer. You have to establish clear accountability, and third being, you have to empower your employees to an extent that they make a difference, because they are the people who are facing the queries, who are able to resolve those queries. If they are empowered enough, they would create a magic on the floor, on the ground. Um, Ansh, can we move ahead and I'll explain the pillars one by one? Great. So first of all is understanding your customer, and I have actually categorized the understanding of the customer from customer service standpoint into three different categories. First is the understanding of the products and services he has been consuming from you, the things that he is buying in the physical store, um, the things that or the categories of the products he's consuming. From the telecom standpoint, how long he has been your customer, what kind of telecom packages he's using, what what is his consumption pattern, so as to say. So all this is categorized under one bucket, which is the products and services. From the banking standpoint, it becomes even larger. So the nature of the product, the products and services you are offering, the more information is needed to assimilate under one roof, which is the customer roof. So you should be unique. You should be able to uniquely identify what those products and services are and put it associated with that particular customer. Second important context is the interactions and context associated with those interactions. Now, when I say interactions, in the beginning I itself mentioned that the interactions can come from voice, it can come from email, it can come from social, and Dharmarajan also mentioned, the changing landscape of the technology, which would basically mean that interactions can come from virtual assistants, interactions can come from chatbots, and they would be seamlessly transferred to a human intelligent agent who would be able to answer it. Now, all these interactions, so as to say, may or may not have the similar context. Now, this context, all these interactions have to be grouped together in a particular context, and they have to be associated to a particular customer. This would help you enrich your analytics, enrich your self-service, and enrich your customer experience, so as to say. third important thing from the customer standpoint is his emotions and his feedback combined together. Now, there are enough technologies which would help you understand the current emotion of the customer, and there are a lot of so from my observation, there are a lot of siloed voice of customer initiatives that are being driven that are not associated to the customer entity. Now, whenever we are driving an omni-channel strategy for customer experience, these three elements, which is interactions and context, the products and services, and third being the emotions and feedback, they have to be assimilated together to make sure that this information gets captured at a particular place. Now, what to do with this information? A lot of analytics can be driven, a lot of information can be provided to the customer service reps to answer the queries. It can be helped to enrich the products and services. It can be enriched to move a lot of interactions or L1 dip interactions to the self-service piece, and a lot of things can be done. But an important ingredient is to get all these three types of data or information, so as to say, under one roof and get it associated with the customer entity in your technology. Can we move to the second piece, Ansh? Yes. The second important piece is the employee empowerment. Now, for this particular piece, there are two important elements from the empowerment perspective. I'm assuming that the training and training of the employees is something which is very hygiene in nature, and that has to be taken care of. Now, real empowerment happens through two important means. One is the data, and I like to use this phrase again and again whenever I speak. Too much data, your customer service reps would be confused, and too less data is would make sure that your employees are not empowered enough to answer the queries or to service the customer in a better way. Now, there is enough information, and in my first pillar, I basically, what I did was I put that information in a structured way. Now, all this information which I mentioned in the previous interaction, which was previous slide, which was products and services, emotions and feedback, interactions and context, all has to be presented in a very summarized way, so as to say, in front of the customer service rep, for him to absorb this data and for him or her to be enabled to answer those queries. Now, if you empower the employees with the right set of data, the second important element of the employee empowerment is the decision making piece of it, which basically means that your employees, if they in a particular service that they are service recovery that they're doing or service that they are addressing, if they're not empowered enough to make a decision, and if they are hampered by policies or processes, so as to say, the whole journey or whole goal of creating CX memories, of giving a beautiful customer experience when the consumer most needs it, is something which would take a backseat. Now, you get these two elements right in the employee empowerment piece, which basically means the data piece, getting those data structures right, getting the data tree, get it in front of the customer service rep for his easy consumption is one, and second is make him empowered. And when I say empowered, people mistake it from empowering him with few budgets to please the customer. It might or might not be the case. There are enough case studies where this has been done and this has been successful. Third important piece, and Ansh, can we move to the next slide? Ansh, can we move to the next slide, please? Third important piece is the total accountability. And when I say total accountability, what I essentially mean is when a customer, while interacting with an enterprise through any channel for that matter, or when he's using your products or services, when he's in distress or when he's in real distress, how do you react at that point of time? And there would be very few cases, and most of the enterprises that we deal with, their products and services are consumed by millions. They answer millions and billions of calls, emails, customer service. They have SLAs, business rules, to make sure that all the interactions or all the customer service requests are routed to the right agent, and so on and so forth. However, the accountability, or what I was essentially saying was, when a customer is in distress, it happens only 1 to 2% of the total interactions that that a whole enterprise is doing with their customers. Now, what you do with such type of interactions when the customer is in distress and the customer is in is in real need is what would define how customer experience is perceived by the consumers. Now, there are two important elements to it. One is the accountability of an organization towards the customer. And essentially, what would happen when a customer is in distress is he would get tossed in with multiple departments, with multiple channels, and you will have enough. If you'll actually go to the Facebook or a Twitter page of a particular enterprise, you will who are not managing it, you would essentially see they are being flooded with such requests where they are venting out their frustration. Now, first important piece is the accountability, which is brought about by one important thing. The whole interactions with the context, and when I say context, has to be passed and shared and collaborated between multiple departments, which essentially means that a context might be through multiple channels, be it voice, be email. That entire interaction history, which is assimilated with the context, has to be passed over for a different rep, a different department in the particular enterprise to make sure that it gets delivered. Collaboration, for that matter, is an important piece of it. Now what I would like to do is I would like to pass the baton to Dharmarajan, and he would take us through how they have achieved this accountability at Tata Click. And Dharam, there was a question for you, which essentially meant that the question was, does the Phygital customer experience, which is the amalgamation of physical stores and the digital customer experience, is it prevalent only in e-commerce industry, or do you see an uptake in other industries, be it telecom and banking? What are your observations on that side?
Yeah, important, and it's a great question. In fact, we see it a little more at this stage than others, but we believe the question is going to be across the board for all the brands. And for other brands, the journey is in the reverse fashion. They have started predominantly being an offline channel, and now started providing all digital channel for service. The concentration, which means the interaction distribution, will be more tilted towards offline medium than online, but that shift is happening very, very fast. So the challenge is, because the way the e-commerce and the internet companies are growing in the country, the experience that they are getting out of, say for example, Amazon, which is super known for one-touch checkout. Now they will go back and question HDFC and Citibank, do I need to click 7 times to confirm my transaction? And why does on the app? And that is the change that we will see across the board. Across the board, a little more for them will be still on the offline mode, which is on the physical stores and physical banks and physical units in comparison to other. But the shift will definitely happen because it's the same customer who's experiencing both on the same medium. It is all on smartphone through apps and mobile sites. Everybody is experiencing each other, all the brands. Their ability to stay with slightly lower quality of service is way low than what it used to be. So because the cost of switch is not anymore. Like it's so easy to shift a brand, especially in e-commerce and internet world. It's just adding a tab or adding an app. So yeah, experience is a differentiator. If we are not doing what is required for consumers, yeah, it's like the end of the days.
So, Dharam, thank you, Dharam, for that answer. There is another question on the similar lines. So, like, is truly omni-channel, so how challenging it is to be a truly omni-channel and when you have a physical store angle in it? And how do you work on the scaling option of it?
Yeah, so this is honestly, as I said earlier, this is a problem that we are solving and definitely not solved. The challenges are way too many. So just to give an example, in a lifestyle space, there are 2 periods of EOSS, end of season sale. End of season sale is in the month of January and in the month of July, August. Now, this is the peak in terms of volume and footfall. This is the peak. But an offline store, that peak is at how many people can enter inside the shop and exit. When you see there are like 10,000 people inside the shop, nobody will enter in, and that is the end. That they know that, for example, there are only so many stocks available. They will not be disappointed that I didn't get what I want. They'll be disappointed that I didn't come in early especially in a sale environment. But that doesn't happen in an online world. Online, when you put up an EOSS kind of a sale, everybody is in. Here, there is no limit. There is no limit to number of people who can enter inside the store. All of them believe that they want all the products. Though there are only limited quantity that is available, your ability to real time provide the exact number of SKUs that are available in stock, which is a big challenge that you're trying to solve for. It's not so easy. In offline world, you know that the product is taken means it's taken, but in digital world, it is dependent on certain data, somebody entering that information in the system and in real time getting updated in your system so that you don't overbook or take additional orders than the stock that you have and end up cancelling, which is one big problem. We have come a long way in solving it, which is a challenge that we're trying to solve for in the online offline amalgamation. Second is the offline stores work in a certain fashion, which is the whole thing is designed for somebody walking into your store and you fulfilling the order for the customer who has walked in. But now fulfilling an online order through store, it requires a certain level of different setup. It requires some technology help and also some minor modification in the whole operating model itself. Which means you need to provide very basic ability to pick and pack goods from store itself. These are new things, new operation challenges. It's a solvable one, not a tricky, but still it requires some amount of change. These are the challenges that we at Omni enabled Phygital e-commerce and Tata Click are solving for.
Thanks, Dharmarajan.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. Most welcome. Yeah. Ansh. So we can go to the next slide, Ansh. Yeah. So just quickly taking all of us through in terms of what we do here. First and foremost is define and measure outside in. This is a big change. Being able to have the right metric that tells you whether what we are trying to do is actually helping consumers or not. Especially in the service industry, for a very long time, critical few were very inside out kind of metrics. one of the things we said that we have to have a very clear outside in what consumer think of us as a metric, and then move on. Yeah. Next slide. So quickly, sort of taking the, taking you all in terms of how we have defined our entire flow. First and foremost for us, in terms of providing service, is eliminating touch. We have to, the whole decision making in terms of what our strategy is going to be is based on how do I eliminate effort from customer side. And we have a very clear metric how many times a customer has to touch us, interact with us to get a basic simple problem solved. For this, we have used various tools, various ways in which we do complete ingest of information that comes in through various interaction and try and make it as predictive as possible. There are from examples I'll take you in detail in the further slides. Second one is once you have ensured that you have provided customer with all the tools to get their problem solved on their own or minimal effort, the next is when the customer decides to get in touch, how do you provide accessibility across multiple channels? How seamlessly you provide if a customer wants to get into you through various modes possible, your availability and your accessibility through those channels, and then how fast you are able to assist. In this, I think omni-channel way of providing service is a huge boon, which means you don't keep with redundancy of one channel or the other. That's how traditionally all the businesses have been done, whether an agent is hired for an email or for voice or for chat or for social media, all of them are individually managed, individually, and they're all siloed separate teams, They don't sort of come together. When you provide a truly omni service, a single agent who can address all these different channels, it gives you at least anything between 20 to 25% lift in your. It gives you a lift of about 20 to 25% in your CS capacity itself by providing that on the efficiency side. And for consumer, we have defined best-in-class accessibility timeline, which is response. I'm only talking about speed of response. Nothing goes beyond 20 seconds from the time consumer decides to get in touch with us. And this would at some point in time mean that there are certain channels which are intrinsically very slow, like email, etc. We strongly feel in the next 2 to 3 years will just go out, will not exist. Email as a channel of interacting for consumer with the brand may not be the best option unless it is for detailing of some type of problems. Other than that, it will completely move away from online instant channels rather than any asynchronous mode of communication. Then once you have provided a consumer the accessibility through various channels and also you have provided a very fast access, then complete focus on providing how do you consistently provide an experience the customer remembers you for as a brand, and which is on the our only focus. So single metric our agents are measured on is CSAT, and again as we go along I'll sort of touch upon what we do on an omni-channel way of solving the problem so that we get a great experience scores and provide great interaction experience to consumers. And we can move on to the next. Yeah, so just to give you a brief in terms of how and what we have done at Tata Click, I'll quickly cover through these slides, not too heavy. First focus is about eliminating the consumer's need to contact us. In this, we have used a lot of self-serve capability through app, through proactive communications, predictive communications. We have done all of it. Just to give an example, for example, consumers who buy high-value products tend to contact you more than consumers who are buying lower-value ones. There are different price range depending on which customer tend to call. So we have gone very deep in terms of understanding what type of customers call you and how many times they would need to reach out to you and what is the reason that they would reach out to you. Once you have the information, you build your process and system in such a way that you inform consumer without letting them come to you. Here, for example, if a customer has bought a mobile phone worth 15,000 above, the number of times that we will communicate and the information that we share with him will be very different from somebody who has bought a red tape shoe. That is, and this is by data, and this helps the consumers also. This is one of the things that customer loves us for, and they don't know how we do this. A customer who's bought both an iPhone and a red tape will have a different interaction with us. The way we communicate with them will be very different. The number of times that we send. For some products, we use SMS, and for some product, we use notifications a little more than other. This also is based on data. These are different medium through which you interact. Which also tells us a little more about how our customers want to get in touch with us. And then is on the whole journey for consumer itself, which is their ability to get their problem solved in one touch, which is the direction most of the brands are taking. So in the last 5 years, we have seen practically all the brands have done a lot of work on this sensor, which is about getting their queries answered. FAQs have become richer. But it is not very contextual, what Rahul was mentioning. Say, if you're browsing on a certain page, you know what the problem is. You should immediately be able to pop up and say that, hey, can I do this for you? Is what the question is. If a customer, after buying a product, has gone into a return inquiry page, I should just pop up. Do you want to return the product? Is there something wrong? Can be an automated trigger. Those are the things that are trying to work. And this goes a long way in providing help. Because searching and reading through text and arriving at that exact line where the problem of consumer is addressed at, those things can be solved much better. Third is intensity based on anxiety. This I sort of touched upon. The value of the product highly determined, and also surprisingly, one more aspect that we found through data is if the size of the product that the customer is buying is larger, the anxiety level goes higher. It need not mean the price is higher. For example, somebody who's buying a cooler, desert cooler in Delhi will be more anxious in comparison to somebody buying a 10,000 rupee watch. It's a crude example, but that's how it works. The mind works very differently. And based on this, the whole the intelligence that we try and build in communicating with customers is a little different. And all of this also we try and do what Rahul also briefly touched upon is bringing all this information into a centralized way so that it becomes accessible for consumers and also to service agents in a manner which is very easy to sort of get insights on. Not too much, not too less, but all of them integrated in one single place. And a few tools which people are now talking about, we have already started implementing. What we are in the midst of implementation should get implemented in a very short time. And one of the critical aspects is on geo tracking. A few of the e-commerce companies already started, so you can actually see your parcel moving on the map as it moves along from one city to the other. That's the future that we see. And then one of the key aspect which not too many companies have been able to solve for is about different promises to different consumer for the same problem. This is about in CRM. Traditionally, are designed that if your issue type is A, your sub issue type is B, then you promise a timeline of 24 to 48 hours, 48 to 72 hours, or one fixed time. I don't think in this age and time it doesn't work. You have to be far more granular. Say, for example, especially in refund scenario, which you have started utilizing. Say, for example, if a customer has bought a product using a Citibank card, we give a different timeline for refund vis-a-vis somebody who is bought from using a Tamil Nadu Mercantile Bank. We know what banks are online, what banks are offline, how much time does it take, etc. This sets the right expectation based on a past information, but it's hugely enhanced experience for consumers. Because the HDFC customer or Citibank customer hates when we tell them it's going to take 7 days, and cooperative bank, when I tell them that it's going to take 14 days, they understand because they know that that's what it takes. Not just with one brand, for any brand, whenever they do a transaction like that. These are the changes. This also ensures that there are not repeat contacts for customers coming in for the same problem. This we call it as art of promise. This is one of the things that we have worked on, and and sort of helping us. And it's a journey. There are a lot of things that can be done in this. Ansh, you can go to next slide. Speed and accessibility on response, most of it is covered. We are becoming more and more channel agnostic. We try being in the channel where consumers are present rather than forcing customers to come to our channel, which means you be present in WhatsApp, you be present in Facebook Messenger, and so on and so forth, rather than asking customers to come to your channel of preference. And also maintaining channel stickiness. This is a very, very critical thing. You let consumer choose the channel, whatever they want to interact, and keep them in those channels itself. A lot of brands today, what they do is, though they have an input channel, for example, you can come through social media, but your problem resolution still happens through your traditional method to call or email, etc. We are trying to build our capability to sort of solve the problem through the channel the customer is comfortable with, which is on channel stickiness side. Important point here, which is a big problem for most of the brands and services on a communication platform. The brand communicates with consumers in various mediums, various means, and also different functions within the organization also interact with consumers. All of this doesn't reside in one place. This is one of the biggest pain points for customers and as a brand for you to provide omni-channel service, which Rahul also briefly touched upon. It's like customer writing an email and he calling you up, you don't have the context of what has happened. And it becomes even more challenging, especially for a company like ours who keep sending out notifications, marketing notifications, SMS. If the agent doesn't know what notification went out to customer about half an hour back sent by a marketing team, it becomes very difficult for you to solve problems and have the right context, which is one of the biggest reasons why, if not all companies move to omni-channel way of serving, if not today, it definitely has to happen in the next 2 to 3 years. It's just about time. Yeah, Ansh, you can go to the next slide. And then on what Ansh was talking about on the accountability of and empowerment of solving problem. It's definitely not about giving in additional money the agent can pass on as credit to customer. That is not what is empowerment. Empowerment is providing them with relevant and insightful data based on which they can solve consumer problem then and there. It's never the case of whether you have your empowerment level at 200 rupees, 500 rupees, 1000 rupees that determines how fast can an agent solve the problem. It determines how much information they are provided and how you have provided that information to an agent. These are two aspects. So what we have done is, for information, we have built a very, very robust sector layer. So all customer interfacing or different systems all depend to that single sort of data warehouse and have real-time information of consumers. Say, for example, our supply chain system, which tells us a product is shipped, a product is delivered, product is out for delivery. All that is flowed back on a real-time basis in a certain way, and which is visible for an agent to provide a real-time solution to customer. And second part is on the UI that the agent uses, which is on typically a contact center in today's. I may not have the exact number. I remember from my old days from telecom, etc. Agent used to toggle between anything between 10 to 12 screens. Now it has come down to about 3 to 4. What we're trying to do is truly have a single screen for solving all the problem, which means agents should not be referring more than single screen, and a single screen should have information what is most critical and important for you to solve customer's problem. All that is required for, which is on how you are presenting that information, presentation of data to agent to solve the problem, which is a big, which plays a big role in empowering agents. And third part, which I feel is most critical in providing empowerment, is having the right policies and processes in place, even before you build the systems itself. And there you need to have a larger management-based decision making in designing. It cannot be very single silo service-based service, customer service deciding what the process and policy should be. There's a larger play in here. Your ability to put forth the pros and cons of different aspects of policies will help you in building the right quality of service. A few things that we have done to ensure the accountability and ownership. We have something called as one problem, one owner, which is a customer interacting with us. That person with whom the customer interacts is the one who owns the problem end to end. Even if it means that that person has to internally raise a ticket and is solved by somebody else in the system, but still that agent or representative owns that problem and has the visibility end to end and then interact with customer when the problem is solved. Second one, we have just started experimenting is about service guarantee. Service guarantee is a great way of keeping your customers loyal to you, which means sticking your neck out and say that, hey, I'll solve this problem, but let me assure you, if I don't solve, this is what you get, and this is I'm sticking my neck out. It has a lot of value, and it can be done only when you are highly confident of the information that you have and the quality of service that you can provide with the system that you put in place, which where only service angle really goes along. That's what we are trying to do, and we are doing here at Tata Click. Over to you, Rahul.
Thank you so much, Dharan. Thank you so much. Ansh, do we have any other questions? Anything? I think we are already out of time. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. Thank you for taking time from your busy schedules. In case you have any queries, any questions with respect to whatever has been spoken from the operations standpoint, from the technology standpoint, Dharam's experiences of what he has done at Tata Click, from my experiences, please write to us. Ansh would definitely share our coordinates immediately after this webinar is over. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for joining in today. Have a great day, and looking forward for another such interactions. Thank you so much. Thanks, Ansh.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Dharam.
Thank you, Dharam. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you so much.
you.
Thank you for attending the webinar. We'll be shortly sharing a
Thank you.
ebook with all of the attendees. So, and we'll also share the webinar recording. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks.